was a dark and stormy night, nor'easter rolling in. It's a long 12 hours, the power's out again. I pray for inner strength and that we don't lose no lives. Just another day in the first responders' eyes. Half a cup of coffee's gone, the first run comes in. A car slid off the road, there's a family trapped within. My heart beats like a hammer, I can barely catch my breath. I'm thinking the worst and hoping for the best. Yeah, we ain't superheroes, we're just ordinary people trying to make a difference, and the first on every scene. It's a heavy, heavy burden to carry all this burden when you can't unsee the things you've seen. It keeps going on. When those sirens are gone. Now my shift is finally over, I gotta deal with what's mine and try to find a way to leave those tragedies behind. So I hug my 2 children, I kiss on my wife. Just another day in the first responder's life. Yeah, we ain't superheroes, we're just ordinary people trying to make a difference, and the first on every scene. It's a heavy, heavy burden to carry all this burden when you can't unsee the things you've seen. It keeps going on. When those sirens are gone. Flashing lights fill the air, broken bodies everywhere. Another bad dream is stealing my sleep. 'Cause we ain't superheroes, we're just ordinary people trying to make a difference, and the first on every scene. And it's a heavy, heavy burden to carry all this hurting when you can't unsee the things you've seen. It keeps going on. When those sirens are gone, it keeps going on. When those sirens are gone.
Hey everybody, welcome to the award-winning Mad Radio with John and Sam, your first responders network. I am your host this week, Sam, while John takes a well-needed break. Hey, welcome, welcome. It has been, a crazy week, and I guess when hasn't it been a crazy week since January 1, 2020. We continue to monitor what's going on around the country, and first responders more than ever have now been put in a really tough situation. Let me just say that tonight's broadcast is in memory of the 2 Capitol Hill police officers that we lost last week. We lost the second one to suicide Saturday night. Things are so tough out there, not appearing to get any easier. So every week, it is our mission to bring to you resources, real vetted resources. So if you're a first responder, you know a first responder, get them on here right now. We are on our Facebook pages as well as YouTube, and get them on here so they know how they can reach out. Come on, I can see all your comments as they come streaming in, so come on. You know, we have an open forum. You guys can ask questions. And so this week, we are talking to Tempa Sherill. She is the Chief Clinical Officer of One Tribe Foundation, otherwise known as 22 Kill, providing leadership, management, and vision over 22 Kill's programs and services. She provides critical oversight in the development strategies of all programs to attain the organization's mission-oriented goals and objectives. Now, prior to serving in this role, Tempa founded Stay the Course Veteran Services, which was once a standalone 501c3 nonprofit organization. And as of 2018, there was a merger between Stay the Course and 22 Kill. Now, Stay the Course provides evidence-based therapies to veterans, first responders, and families at little or no cost. Tempa herself is a licensed professional counselor with a Master of Science degree in counseling psychology from Tarleton State University. She has a Master's of Education degree from Texas Wesleyan. She has first-hand experience because she's a spouse of a Marine Corps and a reserve veteran who served in Afghanistan 2008-2009. He also happens to be a 22-year veteran police officer. And because he had a clinical diagnosis, he was brave. He went out, said, I needed help, received a diagnosis of post-traumatic stress. His police career ended. We've talked about this before, not a good thing, and we're trying to change that. So as a spouse, not only of a veteran, but of a police officer, she understands firsthand the difficulties that our first responders experience and the invisible wounds that are so often ignored due to the stigma of getting help. Now, she also is aware of the trauma that family members endure and the importance of healing the family. Tempa believes that those who risk their lives for others are owed our service in order to help them heal as individuals and families. Tempa, welcome to the show.
So great to be here. So great. Thank you for having me.
You bet. Fantastic having you. I just read everybody your bio, already getting a thumbs up, say hey, saying hi from New Orleans. Thank you, Gerald. And so everybody knows now that your resume, you're legit. You've been there, you've lived it, from being in the post-traumatic stress world every day with Stay the Course and 22 Kill, as well as living it out with your husband.
Exactly.
And so 22 Kill is a name that is widely known not only through the Mad Radio community, but the world. Yep. Everybody, if you haven't gotten your ring here, okay? And this ring, I will say, I'm going to let Tempa explain it, but it's definitely progressed from, hey, if you do 22 push-ups, you get this ring. It has taken on an even deeper meaning. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the evolution of 22 Kill and the meaning of this ring, which lives right here.
Absolutely. So back in 2013, right after the 2012 study came out from the VA that 22 veterans die every day by suicide, that's how 22 Kill came about. And a small group of Marines came together and said, this is not okay. We need to raise awareness. We need to do something. And this has been an evolution. So it started with the 22 Kill push-up challenge, and it went viral on social media. These guys had no plans of forming a nonprofit at that time, but people, our communities rallied around this cause that our service members were dying by suicide and related to the service to our country and to our communities. And so that, it eventually evolved into including first responders as well. So it evolved by people starting to rally around this issue. They started donating money. A nonprofit was formed. And so here we go. We've evolved into a full-blown mental wellness organization. In 2018, they included first responders and families, into the mission. And that was my original mission for Stay the Course, was to make sure we're serving those families. And from my family's experience, my husband losing his police career when he had the courage to ask for help, I was determined then that I wasn't going to, on my watch, I was not going to allow this to happen if I could help it. So in my little corner of the world, I've decided to merge with 22 Kill, mainly because I knew we could do more together than separate. And so I went to Jacob Schick's house and sat down and talked with him. And I said, hey, I have an idea. Let's work together on this. Let's combat suicide for all our veterans, first responders, and their families. And let's provide wellness programs that will help prevent this in our world. And so, unfortunately, as you guys talk frequently on this show, that we lose more first responders to suicide than we do line of duty deaths. And that's not okay. That's a problem. And just as you said, this show being dedicated to those officers, that's exactly why we exist, is to serve our community in that way. The honor ring, as part of that 22 Kill Push-Up Challenge, signified in the beginning, it was about veterans. It has evolved now into meaning a lot more than that. This signifies that you're not alone. Anyone can wear this ring. This ring says, I support veterans and first responders. I support those who fight every day on the job out there, protecting our communities and defending our country. So when you see someone wearing this ring, they support veterans and first responders. They're there for you. They'll do anything for you. Go shake their hand or give them a hug if you're not scared of getting COVID, and have a conversation. It's also worn on the trigger finger to signify, as a reminder for those who may be struggling, number one, I'm not alone. Number two, I have a lot of reasons not to take that step. So it's a powerful message that a lot of people may not realize.
Yeah, amen. Thank you for that, especially the trigger finger comment, because I was going to get to that. And my fur pack wholeheartedly agrees with everything you said. So I'm sure you could hear them barking in the background. There's 3 of them there. So when one barks, they all join in. And I attended and knew about 22 Kill before Jake took over, and to see how the organization morphed into what it is now and the services that you are providing, just from me to you, Tempa, I want to say thank you, because you guys have saved the lives of at least 3 people that I have sent your way, whether it be you got to get to tribal council, and whether they were driven there by somebody or you just found the courage to go, whether a supervisor told them about it, some went right into Stay the Course. You guys are there. Anybody can call to first responder, veteran, and family member of. Yes. Pick up the phone, give you guys a call. You have trained professional folks there that do the intake. So the whole point is there's not a breakdown or a hole in the system. Meaning that when you pick up the phone at 22 Kill, you're not first of all calling India. You're not put on hold. You're if you are put on hold, it's to get you immediately to the right person.
Yes.
And the phone does not get hung up. The call is not disconnected until that person, you have an assurance that they're either going to show up at your offices, and you have offices in Dallas and in Fort Worth, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So Dallas and Fort Worth.
Yes, and we're working on expanding. We have a counselor in Denton now, and we're working on other areas of the Metroplex and throughout Texas. We also do telehealth, so we can provide actual therapy to anyone in the state of Texas. And we're working on eventually, and our long-range plan is to go beyond Texas borders. So stay tuned for that.
Oh yeah, and any way Mad Radio or a badge of honor can help you do that, we're totally on board. So you absolutely are. You don't slip through the cracks, and you know the blue family, the red family, the first responder family. We have to make a commitment that if one of your coworkers, somebody that you know, reaches out to you as an individual, please don't hang up the phone. Please don't leave them hanging either. Stay on the phone with them. Get 22 Kill. Get a conference call going. Something.
Yes.
Because once, I've seen it too many times. Once you say, "Oh, I'll get back to you," you can't be certain what the person, where their state of mind is on the other line. Okay, so especially now, we lost 179 last year to suicide. And I know compared to 2019, people are like, oh, well, 2020, there was less suicide. It's called, there was more of a mission.
Right.
COVID, the pandemic response, I'm not even sure if I can say that for fear that, now YouTube and Facebook might take this down, but since we're streaming live, the pandemic has caused first responders' brains to be clued in to such a focused mission that when you have that every single day, it gives the first responder a purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, we are transitioning into a question mark, and there still remains a purpose. And we need to rally around and help first responders understand, number one, that they were put in a very difficult position last week in DC. Number two, you have an entire community and safety net surrounding you. Do not believe the lies. Do not believe the rumors. If you have questions and you're doubting your first responder community, if you have any doubts about who is there to support you, go to abadgeofhonor.com, scroll down, our partners, you'll see 22 Kill right there. You'll see a whole bunch of other ones. Click on them, boom, direct resources. Even if you just want to talk to make sure that they're still there. And Tempa, you came out to Garland last month when we had our workshop. And although the first responders in the room, standing room only, that they knew about you, they didn't really know about you.
Yeah.
Right? So the feedback was amazing. Like, all right, we knew we could go on to 22kill.com. And by the way, 501c3s can operate under .coms. It's not like a law that they have to be .org.
Right.
So, it's like, yeah, 22kill.com. Oh, you guys do this? Oh, you mean I can send my officers here? Oh, you mean I can my family can be involved? And I had my own experience talking to some of the stay the course counselors when I came down to your offices. This goes back, I think, 2 years ago. You guys had a big open house. It might even be 3, where you auctioned off that freaking awesome truck.
Yes.
And I got to talk to them. And, the one thing that I talked about on the show before that was missing from my post-traumatic stress treatment was having my husband involved, having my mom involved. And would you explain more of how critical it is for the first responder family, the core unit, that those people living with the first responder every day, to be involved in the process, and why you guys made the commitment to not leave them out?
So it comes from my personal experience, is the main reason I wanted to help the families and involve the families, because through our journey to get help, and it was a long one because it was very difficult to find culturally competent therapists who understood us and what we were going through, and to really know how to help us. So when I went back to school to learn and become a therapist, I knew right then that the family had to be involved, because I knew what the power was for us. It was so powerful for us to be involved. It was powerful not only for us as individuals, but as a family unit. And it made my husband's healing work even better to have me and our children involved as well. So, you know, we were able to learn how to manage this together as a family, as a team. And that way, my husband's not having to do it alone. He's not having to experience this alone. And knowledge is power, even in the therapy room. So the more you understand about what's going on with your family member, with yourselves, the more powerful that is. And then that just becomes this positive progression. It will just catapult your healing forward.
Yeah, and AJ just jumped on here. You all are also providing services for all frontline workers, nurses, and doctors due to the traumas that they're experiencing as well.
Absolutely. We have added those from 2020, from the pandemic. Yes.
That is fantastic. And that includes their families.
Yes.
The program set up the same. Awesome.
Yes. Same. So that is a permanent change for us. Frontline healthcare is now part of our definition of first responder.
Well, that is fantastic, because it's absolutely true.
Yes, it's very true.
Yeah. And so just you guys did open in Fort Worth. Can you just tell people more about the expansion? And like you said before, if you need help, you guys can call 22kill. Okay, I'm across the bottom of the screen, 22kill.com. Log on. The contact information is right there. And you can do telehealth from anywhere.
Yes. And I do want to explain how all the different ways that we can be accessed.
Absolutely.
So we have developed a crisis line. So we have a licensed therapist on call 24/7. So we always have someone accessible. If you want to talk through something or do a check-in, it doesn't matter the reason. It's there for support to get you through those moments. So our main number for services is 682-990-6242. And that rings this. Our team is answering phones in both Dallas and Fort Worth together. So you can set up in-person services. And yes, we are still seeing people in person. Not a lot of people are, due to COVID, but that's something that we do. You can set up virtual intakes or in-person intakes and then start receiving services. We have a very individualized approach. So it's not one size fits all. All of our therapists are culturally competent, either former first responders themselves or veterans or family members of all of the above. So we have former paramedics, combat medics, former police officers, veterans. We have a great mix of staff. Our team is second to none. It's amazing.
And one more time, that number?
682-990-6242.
Okay, great. I posted it on all the pages, so you have that available 24/7, 22 kills crisis line. Like I said, pick up the phone and give them a call. You will not fall through the cracks there. What you just said is about the quality of care that, and you're being super picky about who you bring in as your mental wellness team is vital for the healing of the veteran and first responder communities, because as a community we don't trust, you know, and to know that we are sitting across the room, and folks, if you can go in person, you know, go in person. Telehealth is great if that's what you have to do, but if you can go in person, it's awesome. To be able to sit across from somebody who's walked in your shoes makes all the difference in the world, because if you have a barrier of distrust with you and your mental health, mental wellness team, that's not good.
No. So to put it in other words, you don't have to explain your work to any of us. We get it.
Right.
You can jump right into what you need to help with and sort it out and work through it. We're also not hyper focused on diagnosis. We're hyper focused on empowering you to help yourself and to manage and cope with the stress you're experiencing.
Okay, so explain that a little bit more, because as we've tried to break it down here on the show before, PTSD, as it's called in the DSM, they have to have the D so that they can code it for insurance.
Yes.
We don't call it post-traumatic stress disorder. We're not disordered human beings. We call it post-traumatic stress injury.
Yes.
So explain a little more about that.
So like you said that perfectly. The D is there for diagnosis and insurance only. And I do want everyone to kind of understand that not everyone has PTS either. You know, you can have work-related occupational trauma. You can address that before it becomes post-traumatic stress as a diagnosis. It's about getting in early enough and being proactive. So we can help you regardless of whether we have a diagnosis in front of us or not. And, you know, our approach is the wellness approach. We have a wellness model, not a sick model. So our goal is to look at the presenting issues. And yes, you know, you may be suffering from a diagnosable issue, but we don't make that the most important part of the process. It's about understanding what you're experiencing, what's causing it, and finding solutions to get back to that resilient state that you need to be in so you can get back out there and do your job.
Amen to that. Now, being part of our workshop and sharing with all the first responders that were there in December, you know, a huge part of what we believe in a badge of honor is that confidentiality. Your husband, AJ, is, you know, very open. His stories out there about what happened. And, you know, those stories promote the stigma. If you watched the show, you know, with John, you know, what happened with him, and that full story will come out. So, you know, stay tuned. It's going to take a little while. So bear with us, but that promotes stigma.
Yes.
And like, what, you know, so police officers see this, or they're on scene, or, you know, and they say, our first responders, and they're like, well, why the heck would I say something then if this might happen to me? And we've heard it in the veteran community over and over and over again.
Yes.
I mean, it is still ongoing. Just a story yesterday. It is crucial for first responders to have that confidential outlet, to know that you have trusted people who are not going to burn you, okay? People ask, well, Sam, you know, you talk about your post-traumatic stress. How did you land back in law enforcement? I worked with a counselor. We worked very strategically. If I had that diagnosis and it was out there, did you think I was going to be hired by another law enforcement agency? Probably not. Okay. And well, gee, now that that show's out there, if they're watching from Maryland, they'll be like, oh damn. Like, hey, there was no problem there, folks. I got well. I did the work that I needed to do. It wasn't easy. I stuck with it. All is well. So
Right.
you move on into that. You guys, same thing. Everything is confidential. Reach outside of your departments, especially now with the political thing going on. There is so much distrust. Tempa, are you hearing this from the first responder community?
Absolutely. I've heard it always, even before, we entered this twilight zone that we're in right now. The trust hasn't been there for a long, long time, and as a spouse, I get it, and we lived this experience, and that's why we are so careful about confidentiality. We are off the grid. That's the best way to describe us. Number one, all mental health providers and professionals are bound to confidentiality anyway, but we take extra steps in our services, all of our services, whether it's traditional therapy or non-traditional therapy. No one can call and ask if you're getting services at any of our locations. We cannot confirm nor deny anything. There's extra measures to make sure that we're protecting your identity at all costs. And that's something that I just want to reiterate. It's extremely off the grid and confidential. So my husband's in a perfect example. And I do want to say that I'm so proud of him for being brave enough to say, I need help, and to raise his hand. And he's alive today because of that. I mean, there were a lot of close calls for our family. And so I want him to be the example that you can heal. It gets better if you do the work. If you don't do the work and you shove it down, it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse because it compiles.
Right. It's that trunk, filing cabinet, bucket that once it gets to the top, you don't know what your next exposure is going to do. You may be able to handle it, as we both have seen.
Yeah.
But it may cause that overflow. It may cause the drawer in that filing cabinet not to be able to be shut. It may cause your trunk to just boom. And when that happens, it's not just the single trauma often that they come to you with. It's 10 years, 15 years, 2 years, 25 years. It all comes out.
Yes.
So that's why, guys, when Tempa says it's important to get in there, you got to get ahead of this. Okay. And listen very carefully. This is a wellness model, like she said. Okay. I have said this before. We have gone and sat down and talked to chiefs of many, many departments. And we asked the question, what would it be worth to you to have the most resilient officers and first responders in your department so that you have the healthiest community that you can have? And they're like, oh my God, that would be awesome. So why aren't you doing it?
Yes.
Well, and then it's the money. Yes. That excuse has to be thrown out. There is so much money available to have your departments be well. It's not even funny. Don't let anybody say there's no money available. No. You just have to have a skilled enough grant writer to get that money. Okay, I'm not saying it's easy. because grants, that's like a whole nother, that's like Mars.
Yeah.
There are people that specialize, they actually have a degree in grant writing. That's how
Yes.
complicated it is.
Yes.
So, you know, so the resources are there. And I'd love your opinion on this. Another thing that we have heard, like, is if we put policy in place, like the department writes up policy and something happens, we could be held liable. What are your, yeah.
So
that's my response.
My response is, that does not compute in my brain. And why aren't you liable for when you don't do anything?
Yeah, how about being liable when the officer that you supposedly care about takes their own life?
Yes. And if these officers, they don't seem to have a problem with these officers going to get their medical wellness checkups or their dental preventative care. They want you to be healthy medically. So mental health is part of the overall health of a human being.
Right. Like this here, like the inside the brain.
Yes.
Like it was inside. We're one body.
Yes. It all works together.
Right. It's not, and that's what I think is a big hurdle for folks that lead the departments to understand that if this is healthy, everything is healthy. That means your department is healthy. Yes. If this is not healthy, your body is not healthy.
Right.
This is part of your body.
Yes. And, you know, I'm sure you've had lots of guests that go into the details of behaviors, but we're wired to respond a certain way to traumatic experiences or exposure to trauma. And if we don't address it and integrate it in a healthy way, we will self-medicate, we will be searching down the unhealthy path to help us feel better. And then we become exponentially more unhealthy in the process. So if you think about all the negative emotions and negative self-medication behaviors that, you know, human beings do, the list is long. And that's what, yeah. And so we're built in a way that we need some kind of relief. And even if it's not the right path, we're going to do whatever it takes to feel better. So why not choose the healthy option?
Yeah, we talk about, you know, it's still choir practice, you know, for those of you who don't know, it's, you know, going out to drink after shift and, you know, talking about it. With the talking part is good, the drinking part is not good. And because that just compounds. I've been there, you know, that's how I would get through. That's how I would get through my day. That's how what I used to go to sleep. To alter my brain chemistry enough to where I wouldn't have the nightmares, instead of, you know, getting the help immediately, not fully understanding what was happening to me, what even post-traumatic stress was. So, yeah, we know that the drinking is still, well, it's legal, right? So, I mean, you know, once it crosses over, and we have heard stories, you know, of the abuse of painkillers. You know, an officer, a first responder receives an injury, they get given medication. I don't know how they function on that medication. Personally, I took it after surgery once, and I was like, I don't want to take this anymore. You know, like I can't function with it. But so there is, you know, we're starting to hear a crossover of that. We're starting to hear the combination of alcohol and the painkillers, and not good outcomes in the end, where we've lost people because of that. They made the choice, you know, to end their lives, and you know that means we've lost loved ones. We've lost warriors that fought a battle that didn't think there was a way out, that didn't think they could get help. And
it's very easy to fall into that mindset that there's no way out and you feel hopeless. And I'm encouraging, if there are family members out there listening, sometimes it takes a family member to help with that awareness, you know, just like you, Sam, bringing people to us and saying, hey, even if I have to drive you there myself, we're going to go, we're going to get you some help. You know, sometimes that's what it takes, is for your brother, your sister, your blue family, your red family, or your home family. One of those people sometimes has to drag us by the ear and say, let's do this. And because we cannot just watch and allow someone to drown.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is truly heartbreaking to watch that. How would you, because this can be sensitive, how would you recommend, if a family member sees their first responder partner, spouse in trouble, how would you suggest that they bring up the topic? Because we know that anger is one of those, you know, things.
Right. It's a hard conversation. And here's the thing, family members, if you're struggling with that, we will serve you with, or with, you know, your first responder doesn't have to be involved. And sometimes people come to us for that very reason. How do I deal with this? What can I do? And that's where it starts sometimes. But if you come from a place of concern, and a place of concern is the best place to start with having that conversation. And bottom line is, you're afraid you're going to lose them. You're afraid, you know, of all the things you're afraid of, right? And being honest about how you feel and why you're concerned, I think, is the best place to start. It took me 6 months to talk my husband into going to get help, but he wasn't aware of the place he was in. But he became aware. He just needed that initial kind of wake-up call. And those conversations sometimes can serve as a wake-up call.
Sure. The gentle ones, the how can I help ones.
Yeah.
Not the what the bleep is wrong with you.
No, I do not encourage that conversation at all. But love and concern, you can't go wrong with that. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, the group, the tribal council that you guys started, has become a key component, a very helpful outlet for veterans and first responders. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So there are a lot of peer support models, different things out there that some people like and some people are afraid of. It could be that they don't trust that it's an agency-wide peer group or peer support. So we decided that off-the-grid opportunity needed to exist in our programming. So we created Tribal Council to provide that safe space where any veteran or first responder from any part of our community could participate. And here's another reason. Not all healing looks the same, right? There are many paths to healing. Sometimes just having a peer to talk to, it could be enough for some people. That could be enough. You get to vent out what the things are, and you feel supported by your brother or sister that is part of that. And that is not therapy. It's literally building a connection with a brother or sister, you know, in arms. And so that's why we did that, to provide that space. We have virtual peer groups as well as in person. So if you want to reach out to us and talk about that anywhere in the country, you can participate in those from anywhere in the country. So yeah, if you're in Maryland or Timbuktu, you can log on to our virtual peer group anytime, anonymously.
How would somebody go about doing that?
So on our website, we have information. You just email the email on the Tribal Council page and request, say that, you know, I'm an officer, I'd like to participate in the online peer group. the person who runs that program will send them an email with information, ask them some questions, to make sure they're in the right one that fits them. And then they'll send them a link that they can log on. So it's protected, and we do it that way to keep the people out that we don't want in there that are posing as, we want to make it secure and safe for our first responders, so that there's nobody allowed in there that shouldn't be.
Okay, so you've got that available online, and then you've got in person as well.
Yes, also in person.
Okay, and so what are the days that you have tribal council in person?
The in person, it's first and third Tuesdays, and that has changed a little bit. We've had to modify it there for a while because of the COVID situation. So the best thing to do would be to go onto our website and email. I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me, but send an email stating what you're interested in doing, and we can make sure you have the information that you need.
Okay, I'm just putting this in the comment section so it goes out to all the pages.
You can also call and talk to any of our team that answers, and they can give you all the info that you need.
Okay, awesome. Yes, like I said, we started the show. I've gotten 3 people over there, and it's not a place where like you're forced to share. You can sit in and you can listen, but I guarantee you, if you do, you will first realize that you are not alone.
Yeah.
And second, this might sound a little weird, you actually might come away relieved, because other people's stuff might be worse than yours.
That's right. Chances are that's a very high possibility.
Yeah, we laugh, but it's true. I mean, I've heard the stories, and it's just Jeff Freeman shares during the workshop when it wasn't at your tribal council. This was many years ago, before tribal council was in existence, that he had to go, his chief told him he had to go out of town to something, and it was a bunch of police officers, and everybody's sitting around going, oh man, I'm glad I don't have his stuff, or yeah. Now, yeah. So in a way, I've heard everybody that's gone, relief and not alone.
That's the goal, is walking out of there knowing you're not alone, you have support, and it's a place you can leave something there on the table or leave it there in that room, and you don't walk out with it.
Yeah.
It's a safe place to do that.
Absolutely. And how many first responders would you say that tribal council has served over? It's been like 2 years, right? 2 years that you guys have had it?
Yes. We've served, I don't have a hard number to give you, but we keep that group kind of small. So our goal isn't to have a huge number of people in the room together.
Right.
Our goal is to have quality space. We want 6 to 8 people there, so it's not overwhelming or intimidating. So high numbers aren't really our goal, but I can tell you that we are very consistently serving that small group, every time we meet. So it's not the quantity, it's the quality.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was so popular that you had to start it in Fort Worth, right?
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, like you said earlier, people have to try it. Trust doesn't come immediately, and usually they have to hear it from someone like you or, another coworker that, hey, yeah, this is legit. This is good. I recommend it. You want to come with me? And, we want to As a matter of fact, in the background, a little inside information, we are working on a way to build out peer support and make it more accessible to more officers, firefighters, you know, all first responders. And we plan to write a curriculum, we plan to create a network of support that it doesn't matter if you're current, former, you know, we plan to provide training in the future. So we have a lot of exciting plans around peer support because it is very important.
So would this be peer support that people, that first responders would still receive through 22 Kill by coming in or being virtual, or the availability for these trained first responders to go into a department, let's say if the department called?
It would be not inside an agency training necessarily. We do that already. We go and help departments all the time with peer support training and support, going in, teaching resilience training and things like that. We also help with critical incident with different agencies. But this is creating and providing training and train-the-trainer training to support officers anywhere. So if they don't know how to do it, we can help teach them how to do it. If they don't know how to connect with a peer support person, we will have a database of those available in the future that will be a phone call away. So whether it's a group or one-on-one, it doesn't matter. We want to make it more accessible.
Oh,
and make
that's outstanding. It is so important that peer component. And like I said before, if you're not talking after shift, you know, in the parking lot, go to a tribal council, or hey, just pick up the phone and call your buddies, start a group chat, you know, something. But just know that the resources, confidential resources, are out there, and as you guys can hear from Tempa, it's taken very seriously. So when you call or you email about the tribal council, they're gonna make sure that 2 officers or 2 firefighters, 2 first responders from the same agency are like not there in the same group, so that the poop gets out.
Yes, and you know, that's a very important point. We want to make sure we have the right conversations up front, because if you're worried about what you need to say,
Right.
we will make sure you're paired with people that are safe for you to say what you need to. And I don't want to leave the show before I mention our other non-traditional programs that are peer support based,
Yes.
which would be our wind therapy program, which is the same concept but with motorcycles. So planned rides, group rides, all different kinds of opportunities, all things motorcycles. And then we have our Forge program, which is hunting, fishing, hiking. So both of those programs are a way to have a place to come together, do things together, talk together, let the walls come down, and feed your soul all at the same time.
Yeah, and that was, I want to make sure I spelled it right. It's Forge, F-O-R-G-E, right?
Yes.
Woohoo! Got it right. Tough day, tough long day. So that, you know, and that is another thing that we are huge advocates of, because when it comes to getting help, it's not one size fits all.
No.
Okay, you hear me and Jeff talk about EMDR in our workshops. You hear John talk about more traditional therapy, and he's, you know, getting help right now. I would say the non-traditional route. You've heard about 99%, which comes on before Mad Radio, which John is a part of. They talk about wind therapy. The motorcycles, huge component. I don't know how popular it is in Texas when it's 27 degrees, but hey, that's what leather's for, and like lots of layers. That's what I hear. So.
Yes, that is what those are for.
And the Forge program, when I saw that you first put this out, I run the Dallas Fort Worth chapter of the Travis Manion Foundation. It's a veteran foundation, and one of the biggest things that they do for the leadership is they send us out into nature. So got to go to Colorado, really decompress, and not only talk about our program, but like what's important in life, have the support. And when you do that in a place that is not surrounded by the hustle and bustle of everyday life, that connects you with the things that are bigger than you,
Yes.
Makes your mission of being well, connects you there, even more important in your life. It kind of, what I says is it brings it here. So
Yes.
it connects here to here.
Yes.
And so you come out of it feeling, first of all, you have a new a tribe, if you will, and all aligned on the same mission, experiencing the same things, knowing the safety net is there, knowing you're not alone, and also learning, because you gotta, if there's no learning that comes out of that, it would be a problem. Learning that you can take yourself at any time and get back into nature. You feel the healing effects of it, and you make that part of your toolbox. It's like, so what you learn in the Forge program, like, oh yeah.
Yes. You get to create your own recipe of healing. We're 360-degree individual people. We're a whole person, and to be whole, we have to figure out what that recipe is. And for some, like me, nature is a huge part of what I need. I ride motorcycles. I love being outdoors. That feeds my soul, and that helps me with my recipe of self-care. And you have to find what works for you and do it.
Absolutely. Amen. And if you guys, you can see 22kill.com has been scrolling on the bottom of the screen for most of the show. Tempa, thank you so much for coming on. Any like last message you want to say to all the first responders out there and the family members watching?
Oh my goodness. Thank you all for everything you do, your families and you, every day. You're on my heart and in my prayers always. And I'm so appreciative of what our first responders and families sacrifice for us. And I know what that sacrifice is like, and it's worth it. You are worth it to us because of all the things you do for us. Your life is worth it, and we want to help you any way that we can. So please reach out. You're not alone. We're here to support you. And thank you. We can't say thank you enough.
Well, God bless you and AJ and everybody at Stay the Course, everybody at 22kill. Continue to do phenomenal things, continue to heal. Don't forget to take care of yourselves. Yep. And we will be back in touch soon. Guys, please, you heard it from Tempa, you are not alone. Reach out, 100% confidential. Get the help that you deserve, that you absolutely deserve. Yes. Thank you, Tempa, so much again for being on. Thank you. We'll be in touch soon, you bet.
Awesome. Bye-bye.
Bye. Wow, what another amazing show. Tempa, just guys, if you don't see how 22kill is the whole package and how they can help, Log on to 22kill.com, spend the time, peruse the website, find some tools for your toolbox, create your own recipe. I love what Tempa said with that. Again, I want to thank everybody watching on Facebook and YouTube. And hey, Facebook family, if you wouldn't mind jumping on over to our YouTube page, which is Mad Radio Texas, and subscribing there. Like I've said in the past, the more subscribers we have, we can do some more cool things there. Support the show, support Mad Radio, support a badge of honor.com. I'm going to put that up right now. Support a badge of honor. You can go on to abadgeofhonor.com, click on Mad Radio. You'll see the donate button. Every dime goes to supporting our first responder community so we can put on our post-traumatic stress, suicide prevention, and resiliency workshops. Tempa was there last month. She got to, like I said, be in a part of the workshop, explain to everybody there what she did. As I started the show, this show is dedicated to the two very brave men that we lost, the Capitol Hill police officers last week. You will forever be in our hearts and our memories. You will not be forgotten. And let's make our mission, hey, here in Texas, we've got to make the law enforcement officers who unfortunately die by suicide, we need to make suicide line of duty death so they are honored and deserving of the honor and their families are not left out. We've got a lot of missions that are going to be taken on in 2021. And just thank you again so much for listening. Hey, if you're watching this on Facebook after the stream ends, you can scroll up to the Facebook page. Number of books for sale. A lot of the folks that have been on the show, first responders, as well as first responder supporters, have written books. Go ahead and support them by picking up their books. So until next week, folks, we love you. We thank you. All the first responders, we are praying for you. Thank you for protecting us here, to all the veterans that are protecting us abroad, and those active duty who have been called to capitals all across the United States right now. We are holding you in our hearts. Please, please, please be safe out there. Remember, military, law enforcement in the United States right now, you are all on the same side, okay? Love you all, every single one of you. Until next week, folks, this has been Mad Radio, your first responder network. Sam signing off.
After working for 20 plus years as a police officer, not having backup is kind of scary. While I was trying to heal from the traumas that had put me in the position that I was in, I suddenly lost all the support of all the guys I worked with.
Just because we don't see it doesn't mean that we don't picture it in our head. I never thought that I would have to deal with that type of call, and I was not prepared.
I remember the moment I was like, okay, I was up all night. It was just trauma after trauma after trauma. You know, the novelty of the job wore off really quick.
They didn't offer any help. They said I needed to see a psychiatrist, that there was probably nothing wrong with me, that I was just being a baby about it.
I couldn't think of how to get help without ruining my job.
I know personally on many occasions that a police officer can go in and ask for help, and the chief of fire.
They forced me to resign because they just could not understand how that could have affected me since I was just a dispatcher.
I just thought to myself, if I can't do this job, what can I do? What else? I put all the eggs in this basket. Who am I if I'm not a firefighter?
I have, 4 years till retirement, and I gotta be okay, and I gotta make it.